I got my blue out to support my man Wade Ripple. Clearly I would belong to the Water family. This movie, Elemental, is honestly, I think, a return to form from Pixar, at least in a small way. Out of the last 5 movies that they've done, which include Lightyear, Turning Red, Soul, and something else forgettable. And out of the last several movies they've done, this one feels the most confident in its storytelling. Specifically, like, it knows what the movie is about. And it sticks to it, and it doesn't stray away from the message that it's telling. I think Soul gets really muddy with the body switching aspect of the story, and then I think like Turning Red is, again, you've got the monster movie part of it, and then you've got the grounded mother-daughter part of it, and so that kind of is a little muddy. And Lightyear, like, what even was that? And just some other things. If you have questions about those other movies, just say them in the comments and I'll respond to them. But this movie is like, here I am, I'm a story about an immigrant family, and that's the story. Like, coming to America from overseas, like, and so I've seen a lot of posts. Pixar has obviously showcased a lot of reviews that highlight the people relating to this movie. Obviously, even though Amanda and I are huge Pixar people, we obviously relate more to Wade's family than Ember's family, so it's not a super deeply resonating with us, but it's a human story that we've seen, and that we've seen in real life, as well as just in other cinema and other storytelling. And so I think they do a great job. I'm impressed that the cast is essentially, and do not take any offense to this, essentially a bunch of no names, with the exception of Catherine O'Hara of Home Alone and Schitt's Creek fame, and many other things, Beetlejuice, and just, I mean, I don't need to go down her filmography, but she's the biggest name in this movie for sure. But they all do a great job with their voice casting, and like the way they do it with their voice acting. I knew I was gonna love this movie when I saw that Thomas Newman was back as the composer for this film. He composed WALL-E, masterpiece of score. It did Finding Nemo, Finding Dory, and a few others. But while Michael Giacchino is the man with the master plan, he's got the hold on Pixar, he's great, he's done a million other things. Thomas Newman has also done a lot of great stuff, but his ambient tracks, his softness, his emphasis on strings, and just, I love him so much. Like, just, so this score was great, had a little bit more Eastern feel to it, had a little bit more vocals than he normally does, but I really liked it, thought it was very fitting for this movie. And I want it to continue to go to weird, unique places. When I look at this movie, I'm thankful that it does take the Pixar effect, but there's just some uniqueness to how the fire continues to glow, how the water rolls, and just the earth is so chunky and gritty. And the clouds we've seen before in the short Partly Cloudy, done by the same director of this movie, Peter, who has been just an up-and-coming person in Pixar. He's worked on the animation department, he's worked on the storytelling department, he's directed a few movies, he's directed a few shorts. He's really, I think he's a talented guy. He's done voice acting for a few things. 2 things that I'll nitpick about this movie, and why it's not like a full bombastic return to form for Pixar, is that the pacing was a little off. It just felt like the first act was really rushed, and that by the time we got to plot point X, we were like, how is there still an hour left in this movie, or whatever, what the time was. It just felt like, okay, we rushed to get to this point, and then we kind of slowed down, and then we kind of slowly sped up towards the end. And so, like I said, it wasn't totally jarring, but I think that I'm not gonna put it for me in the like top 5 of Pixar of all time, but yeah, so that's one thing I would wish would change. And I normally don't harp on this kind of thing because I'm a guy who is pretty loosey-goosey when it comes to the rules of a world. And, you know, just to be shown and not told, which I appreciate that this movie does, but there are some physics that happen when you are dealing with humanoid elements that you're like, huh? What? And if you think about it for too long, you're like, that's weird. And like, is that okay? And can they ever X, or can like, is like, what is, you know, I don't know. It's hard to say the biggest issue that I have with it without spoiling it. And I want to leave this review mostly spoiler free. So there's just some physicsy things that happen in this elemental world that I'm just like, kind of squint at, but you just have to kind of shrug, is what I normally tell people in like every other fantasy movie. I normally tell people, just let it go, like it's fine, like it's just not our world, you know, it's anyways. So let it go, roll it off your shoulders. But yeah, the animation is definitely unique to this movie, and I think it works well and will go great in the Pixar canon. I think, like I said, overall this movie seems like a return to form. It's a win, and if you go see it in theaters, it's paired with a Pixar short, with Carl from Up getting ready for a date, and that just warms up your tear ducts, so you're prepared to, you know, shed a tear or so later in Elemental. So check this movie out. Definitely good for the whole family. Worthwhile to see it in theaters. It'll be a good time, good family outing. Glad to see Pixar kind of picking it up and kind of being more surefire like it has been in the glory days of past. So let me know what you think about this movie. Yeah, just thank you for liking and subscribing.